February 11th, 2026, 3:47 p.m. local time, Philippine Sea, 91 nautical miles east of Taiwan. The guided missile cruiser USS Antietam is monitoring Chinese military activity. Operation Resolute Presence, part of the American response to increased PLA exercises around the island. She's been on station for 16 days, watching, recording, transmitting. Today, watching becomes something else. At 3:41 p.m., Chinese forces begin a live fire exercise in the Taiwan Strait. Announced 48 hours in advance. Coordinates published. International warnings issued. The exercise zone is 67 nautical miles from USS Antietam's position, a safe distance. By the book. What the published coordinates don't mention is the secondary firing range. Classified. Unpublished. Extending 40 nautical miles east of the announced zone. USS Antietam is 24 nautical miles inside that secondary range. At 3:47:23 p.m., a DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missile impacts the water 1,100 meters from the cruiser's starboard beam. Not a hit, a near miss. Close enough to shower the ship with debris. Close enough to trigger a shockwave that injures 9 sailors. Close enough to be interpreted as either a terrible accident or a deliberate warning shot. I'm your host at Warfare Signal, where we analyze the operations that define modern military power. This is the story of how a weapons test transformed into a geopolitical crisis. How 9 American sailors were injured by a weapon that technically didn't hit them. And how the next 72 hours forced both Washington and Beijing to confront a question neither wanted to answer. What happens when exercises become indistinguishable from attacks? Let's establish what the DF-21D actually is. The Western designation is Carrier Killer. Range, 1,500 kilometers. Terminal velocity, Mach 10. Warhead, 600 kilograms. Capable of carrying conventional high explosive or nuclear payloads. It's the weapon China built specifically to deny American carriers access to the Western Pacific. The theoretical threat that has shaped U.S. naval planning for 2 decades. Until August 3rd, 2026, it had never been tested against a moving naval target in proximity to American forces. The exercise was designated by Chinese military planners as Operation Steel Typhoon. Officially, a demonstration of integrated strike capabilities. Unofficially, a message to Taiwan and its American backers during a period of heightened cross-strait tension. The published parameters included missile launches into designated water areas. Standard procedure. Exercise zones are announced. Shipping is warned. International protocols are followed. But the DF-21D requires a different kind of test profile than shorter-range weapons. Its guidance system uses a combination of satellite navigation, radar imaging, and terminal infrared seeking. To validate these systems against realistic naval targets, the missile needs to track actual ships. Not hit them. Track them. According to technical assessments compiled after the incident, the August 3rd test was designed to verify the DF-21D's terminal seeker against the radar signature of a large naval vessel. The target wasn't supposed to be USS Antietam. It was supposed to be a Chinese auxiliary ship, the Donghai 302, positioned 15 nautical miles further west. But the DF-21D's seeker has a discrimination problem. At Mach 10, descending through the atmosphere, the terminal seeker has approximately 8 seconds to acquire, identify, and confirm its target. In that window, it must distinguish between multiple radar returns, thermal signatures, and electronic emissions. USS Antietam's radar cross-section is approximately 2,400 square meters. Donghai 302's radar cross-section is approximately 1,800 square meters. In clear conditions, against a stable background, this difference is sufficient for discrimination. August 3rd did not have clear conditions. Tropical storm Chanchu was generating significant sea clutter. Radar returns from wave action created noise that degraded seeker performance. The DF-21D's terminal guidance system processed the available data and selected the largest consistent return in its acquisition cone, USS Antietam. The missile, and then something unexpected happened. At 3:47:19, 4 seconds before projected impact, the warhead detonated, not on contact, in midair, 1,100 meters from USS Antietam and 340 feet above the water. Later analysis suggested a fusing malfunction. The proximity detonator, designed to trigger the warhead at optimal distance from a ship's hull, interpreted the sea surface as the target and initiated early detonation, a malfunction that saved USS Antietam from a direct hit. The blast effects were still significant. 1,100 meters is close range for a 600-kilogram warhead. The pressure wave crossed that distance in 3.2 seconds. When it reached USS Antietam, it carried enough force to shatter windows on the bridge, knock sailors from their feet, and damage exposed electronic equipment. 9 sailors were wounded by flying debris and blast effects, 3 seriously enough to require medical evacuation. The ship itself was not structurally damaged, but she was combat impaired. Her SPY-1B radar required recalibration. Her navigation systems needed reset. Her crew needed time to recover from what had just happened. If you want to understand how weapons effects translate to operational impact, subscribe to Warfare Signal. We analyze what the press releases don't explain. Now the situation enters uncharted territory. USS Antietam's captain, Commander Marcus Williams, faces an unprecedented scenario. His ship has just been hit by blast effects from a Chinese ballistic missile. 9 of his sailors are wounded. He's 91 nautical miles from a Chinese exercise that was not supposed to reach him. Was this an attack? His instincts say no. An actual attack would have involved multiple missiles. The DF-21D would have been followed by cruise missiles, torpedo attacks, coordinated strikes designed to ensure destruction. This was one missile, one near miss, one malfunction that prevented a direct hit. It looks like an accident. It feels like an accident. But Commander Williams cannot be certain it was an accident. His rules of engagement authorize defensive action against hostile fire. A ballistic missile that detonates 1,100 meters from his ship certainly qualifies as hostile fire, regardless of intent. He has weapons. He has targets. He has authority. He chooses not to engage. Instead, he broadcasts on the international emergency frequency. All stations. All stations. This is USS Antietam. We have been struck by blast effects from a ballistic missile detonation in our vicinity. We have casualties. We are assessing damage. Request immediate clarification from all parties conducting military exercises in this area. The message goes out at 3:51 p.m., 4 minutes after the detonation. The Chinese response comes at 3:57 p.m. American vessel Antietam. This is People's Liberation Army Navy Command. Exercise operations have been suspended. We are investigating the incident. Confirm your status and position. It's not an apology. It's not an explanation. But it's communication. In the fog of what just happened, communication matters. Commander Williams's decision not to retaliate becomes the subject of intense debate in the weeks that follow. Critics argue he should have demonstrated American resolve by striking the launch site. Supporters argue he correctly assessed the situation as an accident and avoided escalating into war. The Navy's official review found his actions appropriate and measured. He received no formal recognition, no formal censure, just the quiet acknowledgement that he made a choice no commander should have to make, and he got it right. What would you have done? Your sailors are bleeding. A Chinese weapon just detonated close enough to break your windows. You don't know if another one is coming. You don't know if this is the start of something larger. Tell me in the comments. At the Pentagon, the reaction is immediate. The legal analysis is complex. Under international law, an attack on a warship in international waters is an act of war. But attack implies intent. If the missile strike was genuinely accidental, it's not an attack. It's an incident. Incidents can be resolved diplomatically. Wars cannot. The intelligence community presents its assessment. Probability that the strike was deliberate, 7%. Probability that the strike was an exercise accident, 84%. Probability that the strike was intended as a gray zone warning shot with deniability, 9%. The 9% possibility drives the debate for 3 hours. China has employed gray zone tactics before. Actions designed to send messages while maintaining plausible deniability. Coast Guard vessels ramming fishing boats. Laser illumination of aircraft. Electronic jamming of navigation systems. It's an elegant strategy, if that's what this was. The president's decision, announced at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, threads the needle. But consequences. Significant consequences. All Chinese military personnel are expelled from U.S. defense cooperation programs. Chinese naval vessels are banned from port visits to American allies in the Pacific. Sanctions are imposed on the Chinese aerospace firms that manufactured the DF-21D components. And the U.S. Pacific Fleet surges 3 additional destroyers to the Taiwan Strait. Forward presence, demonstrating that America will not be intimidated by accidents or anything else. The Chinese response is equally calibrated. A technical investigation is announced. The official finding, released 6 weeks later, attributes the incident to atmospheric interference affecting terminal guidance systems, combined with suboptimal positioning of naval assets in the exercise periphery. In other words, the American sailors who were injured received no mention in the Chinese report. The cruise Commander Williams continues in command for another 11 months before rotating to a shore assignment. His fitness reports contain a single notable comment from his commanding officer. Demonstrated exceptional judgment under unprecedented circumstances. The DF-21D program continues. China has not suspended development or testing, but subsequent exercises have employed wider exclusion zones and more explicit warnings to international shipping. Whether this represents genuine safety improvements or simply better concealment of testing parameters, analysts continue to debate. American ships continue to transit. Chinese missiles remain on alert. The margin between exercise and incident, between accident and attack, remains measured in nautical miles and seconds. On August 3, 2026, that margin was 1,100 meters and a fusing malfunction. The next time, the margin might be 0. This is the reality of great power competition in the Western Pacific. Not the clean lines of Cold War standoffs, but the messy ambiguity of systems that can fail, commanders who must decide without certainty, and weapons that travel too fast for diplomacy to catch. Stay informed, stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.